Train, Adapt, and Endure podcast or publication on Substack. And with me, we have Harold from the Warrior Philosopher Substack as well. So if you want to introduce yourself, please, and I'd love to continue our conversation that we had before we hit record.
Yeah. Um, so hi, my name is Harold, and my Substack, the Warrior Philosopher, it's about I'm trying to identify an archetype, almost like a hero, work on that idea because it's everything, at least what I've been learning when it comes to martial arts, walking the path, is being a good person or trying to be a good person, better said. Um, and it led me to that. So I started when it comes to, I'm training martial arts. Cool. How do I give value to other people? Well, maybe I can make videos. Well,
Oh god.
from there, building, writing, try to synchronize using AI. And here we go. We've built to this point. Oh, I
So
guess
what?
other than that, I'm a black belt in Shotokan karate. Um, I teach martial arts, done MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, and I mean, other than that, I'm a regular person, a father.
Wow. So you have one kid, from what I could tell from your videos, right? Is it a baby? How old? How old are your
Oh,
kid?
my child is 5.
5. Okay.
Yes, a
Little boy.
girl.
A girl. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. It's a good age, I find. When they're younger, as a father, I found that I was a bit disconnected from the baby. But as they get to start walking and talking and be a bit more interactive, I find that became more fun to be a father, I think. And now that mine is
Yeah,
13.
that's definitely the toughest part because it's really what could you do? They're attached to the mother, so you're there, you're an assistant, but you're not number one.
It's a good way of putting it. You're an assistant. And it's true. You're there to support her more than supporting the baby. It's like a chain, right? You help her and she helps the baby. Um, but once now mine is 13, he's a teenager. He's more with his friends playing video games and stuff. But when he's more interested in, let's say, being with me now. I find. Well, he was 5'6" also. It's like that is like the model. Like I want to copy everything that dad is doing. But now that he's becoming his own man, I find that he's more curious, has questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you saying that? Like, what do you do? He spent some time with me the other day, seeing me work. He was just sitting here, and I was like, "This is my office where I'm at right now, and my gym and my dojo. Everything is here." And and he just sat with me for a little while and looked at what I was doing, how I talk to customers, um, how I talk to my colleagues, what we do, and he was curious about that. So, and then I see how he sees how I behave and emulates that in his own life, which is kind of cool. But we're not here to talk about parenthood, but although it's part of it, right? It's part of being a warrior. It's part of being
Yes.
a,
Well, and sorry, like not to just cut you off like that because I thought you were gonna no, I'm gonna stop this. No, this is a very important part you just touched because doing martial arts, you know, as a and we both come from a karate background. It may have differences, but the structures are the same. Where there's a curriculum, you're following it, and theoretically, since you're doing the same thing every day with tiny differences, even when the teacher isn't there, all right, student A, teach the class, run the warm ups for me, do this, and then you see people who are not black belts or anything, they know how to teach. And there's a subtle programming here that we are learning how to, even if we're not the instructor, we know how to take responsibility for things as the thing arrives. We know how to identify. We are part of a system that we created. And you can see that in the microcosm of a martial arts studio. So in regards to what you were saying, let's say with children, right? Martial arts studios, typically you deal with people of all ages, right? Little baby ones to senior citizens who are just trying to get started for multiple reasons. Doesn't matter. People from different walks of life. And at least in my experience, I had I started working with my group, same thing, like, oh, I just want to help out. Next thing you know, I'm running warm-ups. Next thing
Yeah.
you know, can I please teach? Next thing you know, I'm like, well, maybe I can start teaching my own classes. And from there it went. So when I started teaching children, this was a very, 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 very important thing for me because it's like as I grew older, I still kept in touch with the younger generation and at different stages. So I know how I behave with my 3-year-olds. I know how I behave, let's say, with the 10-year-olds. I know how I behave with the teenagers. I know how I behave with the in between, where I could kind of, I know how I'm like they're children, but at the same time, hey, behave like an adult. I'm gonna slap you up. Oh yes, sir.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It is so and when with the children is super exhausting because I have to become a clown and be high energy and yay and pay attention and guys, all right, 1, 2, 3. It's very different. So the core idea that I'm trying to say is that through martial arts, which may seem so like wow that you can get this, I I learned a practical way of like how to interact with different people of different age groups, teach them, and I was able to apply that with my daughter. I mean, I was just, oh, okay, this is the level she's at. Let me just go step by step. I mean, I homeschool her, and at this point, I mean, she can read. I would say like a child who's kindergarten, first grade.
Nice.
Um, this year I've been without her. I've been apart, so I only do like virtual this way, like on the phone. So the progress hasn't been as much as I'd like to. But last year, 4 years old, I had her doing long addition and even multiplication. Not long multiplication, but long addition, three and four numbers and lines. And I couldn't do that when I was 4 years old. I couldn't multiply when I was 4 years old. So
Yeah.
it's not that she's special,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm able to dedicate the time to do it individually for her, do the progression that's for her. And it's the same thing if you start when you're 30. Well, my friend, get ready. You don't have to do it this way, but we know why we start with the straight punches. You're just trying to condition that. You're getting the basics. Everything else moves up from there. So you shouldn't feel bad. They're like, oh, I'm doing the same things the children are doing. It's like, no, you're getting started with your progression.
That's interesting. I just posted a thing this morning. One of my students he's in his late 30s, and I have a virtual dojo, and I train face to face with my teacher. And the reason I have that is because I travel a lot for work, so I can't show up to the dojo all the time. So having it virtual is a good excuse. It's a good compliment, but it's an excuse for me to train because I have to teach, right? So it's a way to trick myself into training. But at the same time, we get a lot of people that want to train our style but don't have a dojo nearby, so it also serves them. So everybody wins, and I don't have to worry about rent. I don't have to worry about showing up on time and arriving, and traffic here in the city is crazy. So virtual like just kind of checks a lot of things except for the physical part, which is the fighting, right? We fight in Kyokushin, so virtually if you're by yourself you can fight yourself, but we'll figure this out. um, what I find is he's in his late 30s, and I'm 46. I've been doing Kyokushin for since 1998, 1999, so almost
Wow.
30 years. And he keeps on comparing himself to me. And oh, but you can kick high. Yeah, I've been doing this for 20 some years, So my training age is wider than or longer than his. He's been with me for 2 years now, and he's progressed. And from day one to day 2 years, like now, and he's a big difference, and he doesn't see that. And because I have recordings of the class, I show him, look, this is how you were at day one, and now you're doing
Yeah, and
this.
it's hard for them to believe it when you're tracking it like that too,
Yeah,
which is a
absolutely.
positive of the digital that does that. People in the physical world try to do that, but because you're running uh, um, a
Class.
digital service, it's actually a better way to keep people accountable and they can see their progression.
What I found too is his mindset changed because he used to talk a lot with me, and the first classes was just him asking questions and me answering and not training, which at the beginning was fine. at some point I was like, okay, we have to stop and we have to train. Like this is about training. It's not about having like debates and we can have debates after class, but let's train. And that has been just little, progressively we talk less and less. We asking less and less questions. Not, I don't think that's bad. I think it's just he's figuring out that a lot of the questions he has, he can learn from training. Like, how do you do this? Do it. Like, just I can't give you a 30-minute talk on how to kick. You have to kick. Like, you have to physically do it. And he has challenges like everybody else, and he keeps on comparing himself. You can kick high, you're flexible, this and that. Okay, but I started in my 20s and I'm 46. I kept that flexibility, I kept that agility. I can kick high, I can punch, I'm relatively fast, but I'm not competitive ready. I'm not obviously, MMA type, level, but or UFC level. I'm not a professional. So what I find is that the concept of training age is not something people think about. It's yeah, you're doing what a kid is doing because you have the same training age, not because he's a kid. He's starting. He's been doing this for like 6 months, 7 months. You're in the same training age period, and because of that, you're doing the same thing. But it's not because he's a kid. Now you're a
Yeah.
kid. It's just this is the progression when you start. Now, however your actual age is different, but your training age. It's like you go to the gym. I think it was Tom Venuto. I don't know if you heard about him. He's like a bodybuilder online. He's one of the first that had a book online, had a
Well,
community
can you say
online.
his name again?
Tom Venuto, Venuto, and he wrote a book called "Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle." So he's one of the first kind of online bodybuilders talking about fitness, and he's the one that introduced me to that idea. When you start training in the gym and you're lifting weight, your training age is how many days you've been training. And you can't compare yourself to a bodybuilder who's been training for 20 years and is all muscled up and big and whatever. You can't compare between, yeah, we might have the same age, but I just started and you've been doing this for 20 years. And that mindset, I think, is where a lot of people have trouble. It's like, I'd like to start martial arts, but I'm old, and I can't do this and I can't do that. Well, it's adaptable, it's adjustable, you'll get there. And that's what people are scared. Kyokushin fights, we fight bare knuckle, and they're like, hey, uh, I'm scared of fighting. Well, you're not going to fight the first day.
Yeah.
You're gonna have, you're gonna have protection. We're gonna prepare you for it. We're gonna teach you how. We're gonna get you to the level where you can start fighting. And when I say this, they're like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not just throwing you in the den and just go. Like, just we'll get you progressively there. So I think the concept of training age is a big one because it clarifies where you're at. And I like the fact what you said about the curriculum. My curriculum is just right here, and I have it open because I sit down and I look at who I have in class and see what they're supposed to know, and we start working on it and working on it and working on it. So, but I'd like to talk more about your philosophy and how
Well,
about sovereignty. Yes, go
one
ahead.
thing though that just to build off what you were saying, um, like let's say if when people feel they're like, oh, I'm being put to done the routines that are for a child or for a senior citizen, and it's literally the concept that you're saying. It's like where you're at today. That's it. So not only that, again, if you are someone who reaches martial arts at a level, you have to humble yourself because you will meet children that perform better than you all the time. I I don't know if you ever seen this meme where you know. Well, I guess you could say with anything, but the template is like me after I come back home from sparring after getting beat up by a teenager, and you're just coming home crying quietly,
Yeah.
can't say anything. It's a joke, but the
Hey.
point I'm trying to say that this happens doesn't matter at what level you're at because people are at different levels. And then it's so much with the training age, right? Let's say, you reach a certain level, you're good, you're competent, you stay away from a bit. When you come back, you're going to meet someone else. He could be older, younger, he or she, but that person is training consistently. So that person who is training consistently, even if it's like once a week, whatever, they are going to perform better than you, period, just because of consistency. So that's one thing that people, when it comes to training, they start to get in like what you referred to, this mindset, but the this and it's an infinite buts of like why I cannot. Cool, that exists. Let's just leave it at that. But how can we? And that's one thing I think that's part of the mental training that comes from karate, more so than other martial arts. Why, when you come into the dojo, empty your mind, you're focusing on the task of now. Because if you just go on the way you feel and what I'm thinking about, it actually makes no sense to work out. We're all busy. We have responsibilities. So why am I going to take 2 hours of my day to sweat? Well, you have to realize why is a priority, be it for your health, for self-defense, for your own interest, for your own exploration, because it should be simple like that. I just love to do it. Great. And that adds on to the many reasons, because it's your health, because you want to have more energy to play with your children, because be it as a spiritual path, let's say, be it that's just for fun, be it that like I just want to show off. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is for you, you have to anchor that to motivate you, to give you the reason why. Because if not, there's infinite compounding reasons on why not. So I just didn't want to let that go. I think what you said is very important, because it's just something that we deal with all the time. And referring to like what you said about your client earlier, because this is a template of a person. They all come to us that they over intellectualize things. They want
Yeah.
to know how the problem is solved before they get into it. And that makes sense, right? As a smart person, you want to plan, you want to strategize, you don't want to just jump into things in the blind. But martial arts teaches us these things about life, of the physical path. There's things like, hey, if you don't do it, you're not going to figure it out. I could explain it to you a million times. You could write it down. But if you don't do it, it's something you physically figure out. And that's why there's people who start today and in a month they say, how do you get that good? Man, I just figured it out. And this guy, this teacher, I figured it out. We got it. Wow. And that's the goal of the teacher, right? How fast can you progress your students? You have your curriculum, you know the idea, you know what you're going to do. But for that person, the training may look different at different stages, at different ages.
I started jiu-jitsu before my surgery, and it was the same thing. I started, and I knew I'm white belt, and I'm learning, and we don't do grappling and kyokushin, but there's some bases that you can use. And started training, and I'm always like, okay, they always get me in the armbar. They're always getting me in the armbar. They're always getting me in the armbar. I didn't want to win. I knew I couldn't win, you know. But I'm like, how can I not be so easy? And teachers like, yeah, but you're pushing a lot. And because you're pushing people away, they grab your arm and their armbar.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
like,
see.
oh, give it to me. Oh, he's
Yeah,
giving it to me. All right, arm, thank you.
yeah, that done. You know. So I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't seeing that, and that's a thing from karate. You punch, you punch, you punch. It's that reflex, right? Because you're punching. Now I had to
For
learn.
many reasons that make sense.
Yeah,
They're real
and then
reason that apply of like, even if you like, oh, I struck and left my hand out, I can still push off and frame and keep away.
that's
But in
true.
jujitsu, in the context of grappling, is like, thank you, he gave me the arm. Or even
Yeah,
a boxer will tell you, if you keep your arm out, that person's gonna just weave under and strike you at the body.
yeah.
So it's all contextual.
But it's a reflex, I think, because we just want to push the danger away, right? And that's just a reflex. So you have to train against that intuition to want to keep people away. Jiu-jitsu, you want them close, and because it's easier to control the person. In karate, we punch from a distance. Kyokushin, we're even closer, but because we don't fight with points, we knock out. Like it's kickboxing, but it's it's different. Let's just say it's different. Like it's different context, different rule set. We won't. I don't want to talk about systems. I think we can talk about different fighting systems for
Yeah,
hours
we
on
could
end.
just break on the jab for the next hour.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I like to go back because my Substack is about becoming steady and becoming a capable human, a competent human. And I think in that aspect, you touch on something that's I don't really talk about. I talk about the physical aspect, the training, maybe the mental, psychological part of things. But you're talking about sovereignty, talking about controlling your own life, from what I understand. Could you explain what you mean by sovereignty or the sovereign life, let's say, and what that philosophy is about?
So at the root, the word sovereignty literally means not a slave.
Oh,
So the
okay.
concept is, the way I look at it is, you are responsible for yourself and the product of your actions. I think that's an empirical truth. So if I'm responsible for myself and my actions, and I embrace that responsibility, that's pretty much it. I can't blame anyone else for my health or my decisions or anything I'm doing. Like, I'm saying it as a core principle, but I'm not trying to detach it from the fact that, like, we are born in different places, different circumstances. We're afflicted by our families, our positions. We're always evolving from that, right? Different problems that come from the nothing. That's what I referred to earlier when I said about the physical thing, that you just have to do it, and then you'll see life hits you that way. That you can't just plan out everything and expect it to go perfect. And martial arts is the physical bridge, but we do it because of, or at least the way I see it, I do it because I think it's an important part of life. And again, not to drift off, sovereignty. So it's about being responsible for myself and my actions and really living and embodying that. So I'm sorry, that cat distracts me so much.
Okay. It's okay. It's part of
um,
life, man. It's just the way it is.
you see that, and I'm complaining. Is that it's a cat that just live here? I take care of it. She's so loud day and night.
I have a cat too.
um,
That's why my door is closed. I know he would show up.
oh
No, go
no,
ahead.
your
Sorry.
sound is
Go ahead.
good. So so when it comes to what's going on, let's say that political things, or all right. So what is, when it comes to political things? I go back to my base. I'm responsible for myself and my actions. So why am I deferring my thoughts to someone else? Not only that, like, we know that realistically, if I breathe, it's my lungs doing the work. It's not someone else. It's not compulsion. I don't remember the exact Henry Thoreau quote, but it's around the context of, like, when he speaks about the state and politicians and all these people think they can impose their will upon you. It's like, well, who fills my lungs? Is my effort, or nature itself, or God, but it certainly isn't them.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to show multiple fronts the same principle. I am responsible for myself and my actions. The more I go that these other systems, it's again me externalizing it. At some point, yes, I relied on my mother. At some point, I relied on my father. Yes, to an extent, I rely on my job. But once you realize that you're picking it up, you're claiming authority. And what is that? Responsibility. And responsibility is hard, right? It's not like, oh, I have authority, I can do whatever I want. No, again, it goes back to the same thing. Do whatever you want, and you'll reap the consequences of your actions. So I'm not saying do what thou wilt. I'm not saying that. What I'm
Yeah.
saying, if you do what you want and you are doing it within what is right, how do we know what is right? A right is any action that I take that is congruent in my life, that doesn't inflict harm, initiate harm on others. I think that's very simple. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I gotta do every little single scenario, because sometimes when you discuss philosophical things, people nitpick at the most. What about this extreme nuanced case? It's the same thing with martial arts. I
Yeah.
would never. That's why I wanted to point out earlier. This is not bad within context.
Yes.
But if you just say, "Oh no, this sucks," and we'll never practice pushing, well, you're missed now. You just destroyed a whole world of martial arts because you don't want to push. That's insane,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So again, going back to what I said earlier, we're accepting that there's things we don't have control of, but there's things that we do. So embrace our responsibility, start living, start doing it. And again, how do I know that? Natural law. What is natural law? These are embedded in reality. I cannot change them. They are. I don't want to say necessarily, oh, gravity, but we can use that as an example. I can't change the will of nature. I have to understand the will of nature, go with it. And once I do that, everything, that mindset changes everything, because it changes from fear, I don't know, someone else, what can I do? It's the literal victim mindset versus, okay, I can do this. What is the solution for that? Oh, maybe how can I help? It's what I call, it's the wealth of the visionary, and that only comes from that switch. We understand that polarity exists. There's bad and good. There's light and darkness. Now I choose in this and within the principle of polarity, I choose consciousness. I choose light, responsibility, authority. And when you do bad, when you do things that don't mix, again, you suffer the consequences of it. So applying it with natural law. Look, the way we're talking, we're having a voluntary exchange. We're very kind of transparent in what we're doing. There's
Yeah.
no hidden agenda. There's no coercion. Um, but everything that violates natural law is pretty much that, is a form of theft, right? Because if I lie to you, if I'm doing something subtle like that, I'm stealing from your consciousness. I'm stealing from your ability to judge right and wrong. I'm either like, again, what is theft? Stealing from someone's property. What is killing, murder? Stealing someone's life, right? You can steal someone's time. You can steal someone's effort. So again, I I I, I hope I'm not drifting too much and going. It's like I feel like I'm trying to piece together a big puzzle, but it really boils simple. There's like, take responsibility for ourselves. Tying it to martial arts, of what I mean, how like, look at it what's practical. If you are fighting poorly,
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
if you're scared, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I mean, well, you know what, my friend, he's gonna keep hitting you. He feels no pity. The opponent is gonna hit you no matter what. So what am I? Well, teach you to relax. I'm getting hurt. Well, what can I do? I can breathe. Okay, I can breathe. That gets me to relax. What else can I do? Well, now I'm not looking, so now I can look. Okay, maybe I can space up. Okay, maybe I could do this. Maybe I can move around. See, these are responsible actions. This is taking authority. This is why I believe the physical path is so important, and especially things like martial arts. You don't have to become a pro fighter, but as we said in the prelude that we didn't record, that maybe we should get back to that.
Maybe we
That
should.
when you're
Yeah.
so used to artificial life, you start that like, hey, things hit you, life hurts. A big mango could fall and hit me, but I have the at least the sense that I'm not gonna stand under a mango tree when it's ripe and in season, or like, oh, something's falling. There's
Yeah.
people who just falling, creaking, what? Because they don't develop their sense, and this has happened because they are so detached from reality that they've come to a point that's like, you right now, you act, you're gone.
So
You don't
yeah,
take responsibility about anything.
and then they get angry with the tree, right?
Or,
They get hit by the tree, by the
or
mango,
yeah,
and then
I'm
they
using it
get
as a
angry with
metaphor,
the
but it
tree.
could be anything.
Yeah, it's not their fault, right? It's the fault of the tree. Like this. This to me is the fighting part. I think is what makes martial arts different from other sports. I mean, you could develop a good life training and going to the gym and doing, I don't know, basketball or whatever. I love basketball, for example, volleyball, whatever. But martial arts is the only one I think that you can't lie when you spar. You can't. You are prepared or you're not. You're able or you're not. And if you always going to say that's his fault, he's faster than me, he's this, that, you're not taking that ownership, like you say. Now I'm becoming a slave to him because he's the one controlling me, not me controlling him. And I'm not taking the ownership and saying, I need to prepare better. I need to train better. I need to work at so that next time I spar with him, I can be toe to toe, and the next time after that, I can win. But and I haven't seen anything else that does that. That it puts into your face where you're at, and you learn humility very quickly, and those that don't leave. Those that can handle that, they don't stay. Those that can, those are the ones I find that are more calm. They're the ones that can control their emotions better. They're the ones that are not creating, drama all over the place. They're not the famous Karens around our lives. They're the people you can have a normal conversation with, and when you talk, you're like, oh, we think the same way. And they're all the black belts I know in martial art. I'm not going to say just Kyokushin, everything, judo,
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
because it puts you in a psychological situation that it's literally what happens if you're going to live or die, right? And
Yeah,
it's not positive to be in that psychological state all the time. Even professional fighters, like I can't do hard sparring every day of the and feel that pressure that somebody's trying to kill me all the time. That's not good. That's not healthy. But if someone is walking through life as if that doesn't exist, that person is being crippled because someone else, here's something that we have to acknowledge. The apex predator of this reality is the human being. We have conquered all other things, all other living creatures, at least to our perspective. Maybe the
yeah,
dolphins are running the world. Who knows?
yeah,
But but you
yeah,
get the point that I'm trying to say, that we have a certain dominance over things and control. So the fact that they're like, oh, well, I'm in my artificial system. It can't happen to me. I'm in school and everything's fine. Or I'm not trying to set a, a precedent of living in paranoia. But
no,
what I'm more trying to say, like the example I said simply, if you're living in reality, let's say you live in Montreal's a city, but outside of the city, I imagine is Canada. There's bears and
yeah,
wolves.
yeah,
So if you're a silly that you walk through the forest disarmed, or like people, I'm gonna pet the bear. I don't have anything else to say. You're out of tune with your senses. So let's bring it back to people. Someone who's very violent. You should if you're used to violence, you know how to understand violence. You know how to react to it appropriately. Be it that like, look, there's a crazy man. Let me walk away.
yeah, pretty much.
I see him coming. He's aggravated. I've been able to get the general sentiment of place and see, well, something's going to happen here. I see this guy's angry. This person's drinking. Teenagers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
let's get out.
well,
Let's get us and our people out of here. Or again, when it's appropriate, I could talk to this person. Hey, it's not a big deal. Calm down. You want something? You want a drink? Let me give you something.
yeah,
I felt disrespected. Cool. That's all right. And 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 also, as you suggested, that if you're not used to the realities of these dark situations, it could be something simple. And someone will take 0 to 100 real quick and end up in
yeah,
prison because
yeah,
someone cut them off in traffic.
yeah,
Because they took their own thing. That person disrespected me. I'm gonna show him. And then you got yourself in trouble and got on
yeah,
some huge ego thing,
yeah,
and you went and caused problems, got in a fight. Now you're gonna go to jail or worse,
yeah,
right? But let's just keep it light. They're like, well, see, for being silly, think you could go out fighting with people on the street. Now you got to spend 2 days in jail rolling around. Have fun.
yeah. I had a situation once. Here in Mexico, I mean, traffic is traffic. It's a constant. And I was driving. I was about to turn into my street to get into my house, and there's a guy in a kind of a Vespa. He cut me off from the left, but I was turning. I had my signal and everything. I'm about to turn. The guy just bumps into me, and I just look at him, and he's there, just beside me. Like I was like, I didn't even see you. Like, how are you here? There's like a sidewalk. How are you on my left? Like, how does that make any sense? So I roll down the window. I'm like, hey, you okay? And he looks at me, yeah, yeah. And his girlfriend is in the back, and she starts on my arm and this. I'm like, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I had my signal on. I was turning here. What the fuck are you doing on my left? There's a sidewalk here. You cross over so that you can pass the traffic and not wait for the light. That's on you. You don't have a helmet on. You have on your protection on. Yeah, but this and that. And he starts. I'm like, look, man, let's just stop over there so that we don't clog up the traffic, and let's talk. So we stop. And I'm cool. Just it's a company car, so whatever. It has insurance. So I'm like, hey, you're fine? No, this, that. I'm gonna call insurance. Oh, I don't have one. I don't care. I don't care if you don't have insurance. I have insurance. And they're gonna make you pay me the damage on my car. Even if I was at fault, the fact that you don't have an insurance, you have a civil responsibility to me. I start talking like this, just calm and cool and chill. Yeah, but this, that, whatever. I'm gonna call the insurance. I'm here. I'm dialing. Okay. No, no, no. Look, I don't have insurance. I don't want problems. It's on you. My car's fine. You didn't do anything to it. You want to leave? You leave. His girlfriend kept on moaning, literally, about her arm because she banged on
Oh,
the
they
car
wanted
door.
to they wanted to do a scheme.
Yeah, they want to take advantage of the situation and try to get money out of it. I'm like, look, insurance will cover your bills. They'll pay you whatever you need to, whatever happened to your girlfriend, to you. But no, 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 I don't want any problems, whatever. And he left. And that happens a lot here. What I see is that people freak out and they start, oh, this, that, whatever, and they start punching each other and hitting each other and just crazy stuff. And one thing about
And from
Mexico is
there on,
weird.
the infinite possibilities of how bad it can get.
Exactly. I have my wife and my kid in the car. I'm not going to get into an altercation for something like this, especially that I have insurance. So it's the kind
Right.
of thing that,
There's
you
no
know,
reason to worry.
there's like, well, you just want to walk home. I'll take care of this or whatever. No, no, we'll wait. Okay, fine, whatever. And we start talking with the guy, and I'm relatively big for, I'm not a Mexican, but for the average Mexican, I'm tall. I'm
Yeah, you
6
can
feet
blend in
tall.
over there. No, pero qué pinche güey, ¿cómo viene a hablarme así?
But what's funny is that he was coming to me here. So I step down the car. I stand up. The guy comes down and he just goes, I'm like, I don't want a problem. Like, just calm down. Like, just let's figure this out. And he's freaking out because his girlfriend is pressuring him because she's hurt, you know? And this kind of thing that I see all the time. We see it on videos all the time. Those Karens, quote unquote, that feel self-entitled and ego to the moon and back. And
Or worse, like this is a predatory human. That's like, no, we're gonna get this money today. That's their mindset. Mira, I'm gonna call the police.
no, call the police. Call the police. I have witnesses that
And
says
then
you don't have.
you're lying, and it's easy to get into. Well, this person's lying and making a theater, because I've been there. And if you're someone who if you're in the spectrum that you have less control of your emotions, it's so easy to get swayed and angered like this. So bringing it back to the practical thing and sovereignty and taking responsibility for your actions and how martial arts really embodies that. If you're sparring, you've probably dealt with this where one person they get angry, they want you to get angry. They're provoking you.
Yeah,
They want you to get angry, and the moment you do not respond to that energy, they'll even like, oh my God, they'll start feeling afraid. They diffuse themselves because I cannot inflict my spirit upon them. This is what Musashi talks about, how you can take your spirit and that's it's transmissible isn't the word necessarily the word he uses, but it's something like, you can inflict it upon others. You can
yeah,
sway it like a sentiment. So he's like, even sleepiness. Best example, if I start yawning, you know how everybody else starts yawning.
yeah,
So it's the same thing with anger. This person in the story is saying, literally, Bayu, get angry, get angry, get angry. You are grounded. You know, again, responsible for yourself and your actions. And then based on, like, let's pick it at the base. This is fine. I have insurance. But if you're not used to it,
yeah,
you're not used to dealing. If you never dealt with someone who is violent towards you, and even if you are used to it, these two scenarios are going to happen. Either you're going to freeze
yeah,
or you're going to escalate.
yeah,
It's going to be in between. And when you freeze, it's just as dangerous because that's when people are saying, it's the deer in the headlights effect, right? It's like the crazy person is just there. Give me your wallet. Give me your wallet. Do this. And they just stand there. Yes, sir. That not even the first, like what was my example earlier? I'm so in tune that I heard him coming from far away. Let me get out of here.
yeah.
Right. Versus,
That's exactly it. Yeah,
oh, the person's there. He's intimidating. I let him get close. He's yelling at me.
Yes.
When have you taken responsibilities of check and balances? In regards to what I was saying earlier, there's people who are so silly. This is really stupid. You're gonna go do something, get into a violent situation, or like how it is commented, I'm gonna record it. And you think, oh, the law is gonna protect me. Someone else, like, no, if that person's crazy, he's gonna kill you, even if even if you're recording it.
Yeah.
So, or again, like the predator in the jungle, if it's a feline, you don't see them, they see you. And the moment you saw them, it's too late. And
Yeah.
the real criminal is like that. The real person who wants to harm you thinks this way. You'll never see it coming.
Yeah.
And we're talking about physical. Let's
Yeah.
go back to reality. Well, not
So yeah.
reality, more so
Uh,
in different systems of life. Work. The most destructive person in a workplace gets along with everyone on paper, is supposedly responsible, and everything they're doing is destructive and all that. And if you don't understand how humans work, the dark aspect, that's why I do talk about certain dark psychological things like, well, this look at Machiavelli, look at it for what it is. I'm not saying that we have to apply these principles and do them like their gospel, but understand that this is what the predator does. This is what people who want to win at all costs are
yes.
willing to do. And this is my case of why it's important to become strong. Because when you become strong, you have the privilege of being kind, of being just.
Yeah.
Wrapping it back to our world of martial arts, the privilege of the strong. Because I'm strong, because I have control of my technique, because I can do whatever I want to the partner in front of me. I don't have to beat him up. Not only that, I teach them. I'm like, yeah, hit. I know how to take the strike. I know
Yes.
what drills that we're gonna work on, and that person leaves happy. Wow, what a great sparring partner! I'm getting better. I look even good on tape. I'm beating up the sensei. Oh my god, I'm so cool, guys. Look at me with the teacher. Versus again at 0 to 100,
Yeah.
and in the context of sparring, that's really bad. The people, those are the worst sparring partners, by the way, because you never learn.
Absolutely.
You have to learn in the context of fun, period. You don't get hurt. No good teacher wants you to get hurt.
Yeah. But it's funny because I, so when we spar, I judge. Right? I'm the team, the main teacher, so I have to control the fighters, right? So when I see one of them flip a switch and get angry, I stop the fight. And then, oh no, I can't. Like, I don't give a shit if you can, if you cannot. You are getting into a mental state that you or him are gonna get hurt, and this is not about that. So, or you learn to calm down, or the fight is over. And he looks at me, and he's like, "No, no, I can't control it." Okay, so we start again, and he gets riled up again. I'm like, "Okay, we're done. You are not controlling your emotions. I'm not taking any risks." Stopping the fight, and he comes to see me after. No, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's okay. You're a blue. He was blue belt flow for us. It's white and blue. So I'm like, that's fine. It's normal. It's part of the
It
learning.
happens.
It happens. It happens to me. I fight and get angry, but I catch myself and able to come back most of the time. Um, but it's my role as a teacher, and I had that conversation with him. My role as a teacher is to ensure you guys go home the same way you came in, plus a few bruises. You'll get bruises, but you're not going to get hurt. You're not going to go to the hospital. You're not going to have a broken jaw. You're not going to have. I've had that situation in the fight when I was a blue belt. I was a blue belt. I was fighting a green belt, and teacher's like, she's a green belt. She's supposed to handle you. It's a girl, but again, height difference, weight difference, whatever. And on one of those, they tell me, okay, kick to the head. Boom, go to the head. Broke her jaw.
Oh my
And
God.
6 months, she was eating with a straw.
Yeah. So
And
you felt horrible.
oh, dude, like it was one of those things that I didn't want to go back to class. I knew her. She lived close by to my house. Her parents knew me. Her parents knew my parents, and because of that relationship, it didn't go further than that. But they were like, "You damaged my daughter here." Like, I know, and I know it's not, you didn't do it on purpose, and I know it's part of the sport and whatever, but you still sent her to the
Yeah, and it's
hospital.
not checkers. It's not baseball. Oh,
It's not, well,
It's horrible. I dealt with something similar, you know, early on too, and I was maybe like same thing. I don't know, purple belt maybe. Let's say fourth, fifth Q would be the equivalent.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I didn't hurt a partner that bad, but it was, you know, I was like, oh my god, I'm not sparring anymore, and that was my intro to like, wow, this is what this does. This is how you can hurt people. You have to be I have to be very responsible about this, and it goes back to what I was saying about strength. Now that understand it, power, authority, it's a huge responsibility, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't exercise it, or even worse, as I insist. I know people may not agree with this, but this is where I come from. You should not defer authority to someone else, especially as an adult. More so to politicians. The government, the fiction is that it is an institution that is benevolent with no agenda of its own, self-interested to service you. And that is, you see how you're just like, no, that's a Disney fantasy. It's worse. Even a kid would be like, really? He don't want nothing? You know?
Yeah.
So wrapping, you know, going back to that, like, the thing with sovereignty and taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. Like we were talking earlier when you get about like the natural world versus the artificial world. Like the artificial world is that we've built so many systems and structures that, you know, we go through it, we go through the patterns, we think it's everyday life, but it starts to become completely detached from reality. And I think the best examples that show this are the mega cities around the world, that they're becoming all the same city pretty much. They all got McDonald's, they all got a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
They got their local PS, but you get what I mean. They
Don't
got
forget Starbucks.
the big gas station. You know, it's the American dream. It looks like a big freaking road.
Yeah.
Anyways, so these things we're used to living like if we start to normalize it, and then everything from like how we act to how we are with nature to how we deal with our resources, our whole perception of ourselves and how we deal with reality gets skewed out of whack, that we start to become like a non-human. So I mentioned resources, for example. Everything is a resource, but when we are city people, we're just consumers. That's all we do. Buy, buy, buy. And a consumer, by definition, is getting it outside, not from within. And it may seem like, but aren't I being contradictory that I say I can extract things from nature? No, I have to use my, just like work, yes, and other things, but I have to use my consciousness, use my reasoning ability, which is work and effort, and deal with the consequences of my action. What is good? What can I trade? All right, so I'll give you an example. There's leaves here that we just have them. They're wild leaves that they grow in every river here. They're really easy to grow. You barely have to maintain them. They're there. So we sell those leaves to a flower shop, super cheap, but we have that connection. Then we have a group of other leaves. This is a simple resource. I can't even eat the leaves. I don't know what they're called. Let me pull one out real quick. Look. You recognize this. You see it in a lot of floral decorations. I have no idea what it's called. But people at flower shops have a demand for it to make things look pretty. But the idea is this is a resource that's there that I have to put minimal effort. I just have to have a system, meaning discipline, structure, and I'm always collecting chickens. If you don't know how to deal with chickens, well, you don't know anything. But you can see it, people who understand chickens evolve it to the point of having mega industries. I'm not saying you have to do that, but if you understand how to, how to deal with them, how to take care of them, you have eggs every day. You only need to put in a couple minutes of your time. Everything at first requires effort. But what I'm saying is that when you live according to different systems that you take responsibility and create, there's literally resources ready to pick up all over the place. But we're like, no, money. Where's the food? In the supermarket. How do you get it with money? But it's like, but why don't we just have, you may not have the space to have, a lot of plants, But look at how people used to live before us. In the smallest of spaces, they always had something that helped them and kept things moving forward. So they all have regenerate systems that kept each other in place. Look at where we're at now. Nobody's really, we're all dependent on these external systems. It's a manifestation of the same problem little by little. Whereas like before, oh, I have my, I use oregano and basil, whatever. I got some plants that I always use. No, people now, they can't take a tomato. Let's say something more simple. A bean. The bean is the most simple thing to grow. It's a project you give to children.
Yeah.
Here, water it every day. In a few weeks, wow, it has beans. But you realize it's a discipline. You have to look at it every day, take care of it. And a lot of people shy away from the word discipline or effort. But it's not this crazy effort. It's just, man, be consistent. It's the same as we were talking when we're working out. You don't have to be the peak athlete. You don't have to compare yourself to John Jones and Anderson Silva like I do. Um, you just have to do where you're at. And that's it. That's it. Like sorry if I'm kind of going too long, but like you mentioned knee injuries. I've been going through knee injuries. Horrible. I've been trying to compete for a couple years now, and I've been going through knee injuries for 3 years. I was going to for the Pan Am qualifier for kickboxing. Sparring partner hurts my knee, kicks me super hard. I'm being careful, tappy, beats me up. I recover. I go back, same sparring partner hurts my knee, my other knee. I'm out again. It caused me huge problems. I couldn't work. I lost my job. I'm at home crippled. My child is, it was horrible. It was horrible to deal with. And then being like someone that, as you can see, we're passionate about martial arts. I'm like, I can't even teach. I may not walk again. Oh no. And that's actually when I started writing a lot, right? I'm like, well, I could do this. I could teach this way. I can, do whatever. But one thing I learned there that I'm like, I can't defer this even my health to someone else. The moment I'm not going to talk to a doctor. I know what he's going to tell me. I know how they think. You're messed up. You're done. We're going to cut off your leg. Like the things we tell children. Oh, you're hurt. Let me cut off the leg and give you a new one. That's what they're going to tell me. We're going to cut off your leg. We're going to put in the bolts and you'll be a cyborg. I don't need to hear that. Long story short, I'm like, no, I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to do my workouts. I recover. I can do deep squats now, hold. Last year, I couldn't walk. My knee was swollen for like 6 months, just limping. And every day I fought through the pain. I'm like, well, let me get used to the pain. Every day I'm improving. People around me started, oh, a limp. I don't accept that. I'm recovering. I'm getting better. And like, look, I made it to a point that I'm doing everything back to normal. And it's important for people. If you don't do martial arts, it's hard to experience that because everything else, the authorities from outside, the doctors, like, listen, you're done. Everybody else, you're done. Here's pills. Here's medicine. Very few people come and tell you, maybe your body could heal. You know that? Well, let's start figuring that out.
Yeah. I like that last sentence you said. Let's work on it, right? Let's figure this out. And same thing I was telling my student. He wants to be more flexible. I'm like, well, what are you doing to become more flexible? Oh, I just stretch. Like, okay, but there's more to it than just stretching. You need to move. You need to get strength. You can't pull because you're resisting. You can't kick high because you're tense somewhere else. Look at where sometimes to be more flexible is about releasing tension somewhere else in your body that's not letting you reach high, for example, right? That how do I do that? But you work on it. Like you don't just do you can't just do a stretch one day and it's set. You work on it. It's the same thing with healing, same thing with everything. Even for work or let's say the city life, you talk about resources. How many people nowadays I've seen are not able to change their own tire in the car, right? Of the car. So that's a resource. You should use your hands, change the tire. Now I have to call AAA or whatever to come or
defer always to the expert.
Defer to the system, right? Or changing the oil. I don't know how to change the oil, but whatever, right? Change the oil as an example. looking at the car and looking at the mechanics, understand what's going on. That's just a simple example. A lot of people use it online, but I'm gonna go as far as, can you fix the sink in your kitchen? Can you unplug your toilet? Can you, like, stuff that, are you gonna call a plumber just to put a chain in your toilet so that the water can go through, or are you gonna try to figure
Yeah,
this out?
that's like soup things that should be simple, that are easy task. That's like, oh my God, it's too complex. And that's what I mean. What happens the day that there's an actual crisis? You won't be able to deal with it, and you're exposed to predators. And that's, I mean, it could be something as simple as like, this mechanic knows like this guy's a fool. Listen, man, you're gonna have to like this meme I seen. It was you're gonna have to. It was in Spanish. They're like, vas a tener que reemplazar el hardware del carro. El hardware. What is the hardware? He know. It doesn't matter. He don't know what that is, but you got to fix it, and I got the solution.
Yeah.
That's the political grift. Listen, there's a problem. I made it up, guys. There's aliens out there. There's something. We got it.
Yeah.
Pay attention to this, and we got the solutions. Don't worry. You don't know nothing. And it's sad because that's what we teach as martial arts instructors. And like I kind of hinted at that when I was talking about how, thanks to how the at least in the framework of karate, it's a culture, it's a tradition. And in those traditions, there are frameworks that people already are being initiated in a way that, like, by the end, you're just as, you know, everything the teacher does. You don't have to defer to them anymore. You're his equal now. And how this is also really interesting, how it ties into what we're saying about, let's say, relationship between children and their parents, father, son. And also how that relates to martial arts, going through understanding people as they evolved through the different progressions. The relationship that we have with our children, I believe that it's an evolving thing, right? So you know how to children who are toddlers only need their father. They need their father for specific things, and that progression gets evolving. And there's a time period that they're like, I don't even care about what my dad has to say. I'm doing my own thing, and that's good. That's they're taking their first steps to fly out, just like every other animal.
Yeah.
And then we have the full circle moment. We have the what's it called, the Bible story of the son that comes back home to his father after he spent the wealth. What's the name of the story?
Is it Abel?
I forget. But it's the son that he left,
Yeah.
and his father welcomes him. You're back home. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyways, now the relationship is different. Now the son comes back that he learns how to be a man.
Yeah.
And the relationship is like, I'm really picking off these things, and it's still a teacher, but that teacher can also learn from the student. And that is the idea. I'm like, I have my equal now. Now we're both moving up. What a difference.
The book from Star Wars, Brotherhood, when Obi-Wan and when Anakin Skywalker becomes a knight. The book is all about the transition from master Padawan to two equal Jedis, or the same level. And I like the story. It's an easy story to read. It's fun and whatever.
And master rank. I think that's an important detail.
Yeah,
to equal that master rank.
Yeah. So it says exactly that. You're here. One learns, goes up, but the master also grows, right? But at some point, he catches up, and now we're here. And I see that with my students. I see that with my kid. And some things is like, okay, now he's doing it. Good. Keep it up. Like, it's agency, right? Like you said, your term is sovereignty. It's not being a slave. And I think that's fantastic. It's a good message. So before we close up for the day, because I do have to get to work, I am a slave to the office. But what would you like to leave as a final message?
Ooh, I guess, well, if anything that I believe that we're trying to put together that's very important is realize the power of your own agency. And the basis of that is just really taking responsibility, understanding what that is, but from the position of authority. And that comes really hard because people tell you, who do you think you are? You're not special. da-da-da-da. And this is the same thing from if you want to be a top performer at what you're doing, an athlete, you're trying to run your farm 0 to 100, anything. You have to say, you know what? No, I'm responsible for it. I'm going to, it's like spiritually, it's entering the energy of the Father. And again, people won't like it. It's almost like you say you're God. No, man, I'm saying I'm just like you, but we want to act how our Father wants us to act. So I'm taking responsibility for that. And sometimes I don't know what that is, but that's okay, and I'll figure it out. But I'll be responsible for it. It's okay to look for teachers and guides. And I think one thing that I could speak for you is that we share on this path is that we as teachers are encouraging you to get good, to not depend on us. And then, yay, now you walk on your own. And now when we train together, you come back to me because you want to be here and we're having a great time.
Yeah.
Not trying to depend on me, and you're not trying to create dependency. These are authentic win-win relationships that and structures that we try to kind of push in through martial arts. That's important. And I guess if I could plug in my stuff.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so Tube, Substack, check out Dominican Fight Club MMA. We have an event August 22nd. This is the top promotion in Latin America and the Caribbean. Top guys, Dominican Fight Club. You'll love it. And the Fear Transmutation Manual, that. So I have a free guide. I made it to basically, we talk a lot. People are like, you complain, you don't have solutions. So I'm like, what is the problem we all have? Fear. We all share fear. Fear always exists. And even me, the most confident of fighting, I start to get this shows I'm afraid. So how do I deal with fear? Right. And that I try to apply that show that in a language that anyone can apply it with steps. I made it for free, and I want people to turn their fear into power. So that's why I made it. And love it if they take it on. Love to hear what they think.
All right. So the Warrior Philosopher on Substack. Thank you so much, Harold. It was a pleasure, and we should do this again. I mean, I think we have a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're in the States or something, we should link up and train.
Absolutely. If you ever show up in Mexico City, let me know. Take care of you.
Soon.
Take it easy.
All right, have a great day. Take care. Os.
Take care. Os.